Good morning, Menham family, and welcome back to the vlog here. I'm going to be actually discussing with you guys on the appropriate enclosure size for your pet snake. Now, for those of you guys that may know, in the reptile hobby, there are thousands and thousands of different types of snakes that people keep, you know. Whether it's from like garter snakes to Burmese pythons or even reticulated pythons even. So, but I'm going to go ahead and actually take a little bit of your time here and actually discuss on which enclosure is the appropriate size for the specific kind of snake that you guys own. So we'll go ahead and just get started with this. First snake right off the bat, you guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and start easy off with you all. A simple enclosure size for a garter snake here, like my girl Lucy, the average is probably about 15 to 20 gallon enclosure. Now for a baby garter snake though, like my girl Sprinkle Cheese, she's gonna probably want a minimum no more than smaller than a 5-gallon tank here, because obviously it's a baby and it's extremely tiny, you guys, and they're usually like 4 or 5 inches long when they're born. So, but eventually though, she is gonna have to upgrade to a slightly bigger tank here within probably another year or two. So, and Lucy, believe it or not, she actually, when she was a baby, did start out, I believe, in a 10-gallon tank, and not because of her, a different reason, you guys. When she was a baby and was in a 10-gallon tank, she was cohabiting with her sibling Ricky, who unfortunately passed away several months after Lucy and Ricky were born. So I don't know exactly on why Ricky passed away. I don't know if it was because of neurological issues or what. But since then though, Lucy has been the dominant garter snake that I've had for literally longer than any other kind I've had, to be honest with you, besides Tyson, which he's like older than her. But nonetheless though, Lucy here, she's already getting towards sexual maturity, you guys. She's already 4 years old, and she's definitely just big enough to eventually start breeding. I mean, look how big she is now. Because when she was first born, you guys, she was itsy bitsy. So obviously right off the bat, I just recently upgraded her, but right behind me is her latest upgrade, and it is a 20-gallon tank. So for a big female garter like Lucy, she's probably gonna get close to 2.5, so maybe close to 3 foot long, if she even reaches that size. The max enclosure size is probably going to be like a 20-gallon. But if you're cohabbing garter snakes, so you're definitely going to want to go bigger. Probably like 40, 60-gallon tank, because obviously garter snakes are one of the few snake species in the reptile community that actually can cohab together. So, but nonetheless though, they are absolutely super awesome to care for, you guys. They come in a variety of different colors and patterns, and a majority of them are inexpensive, some ranging between 50 and 100 bucks, you guys, a piece. So really affordable to care for, you guys, and they're super easy to feed, you guys. You don't have to feed them rodents either, so that's one of the few things that's so awesome about garter snakes, guys. So, but yeah, garter snakes though, I think enclosure size, not that hard to find. Alright, let's take it up a notch here, everybody. Let's go ahead and discuss on the enclosure size for corn snakes here. And corn snakes, everybody has been absolutely fascinated by corn snakes for more than 50 years in the reptile community. And it's just amazing how so much has changed with corn snakes, you guys. And there's just dozens and dozens of morphs and mutations of them out there all over the world. What's even more fascinating is it's like 20 years ago, I think, almost 20 years ago, a reptile breeder actually purchased the first scaleless corn snake in the United States. And that animal alone was like a few $1,000s. So it's crazy how far now that they are a lot more affordable now, like a couple $100, I think, at the minimum. So, but now Ariel here, she's her morph is a ghost corn snake. Now, when it comes to corn snakes, it's actually a little bit larger. Oh, is she crawling into my shirt? You're crawling into my shirt! Get out of my shirt! You funny girl, what are you thinking? Okay, come here. Alright, so what I was trying to say was, everybody, is that corn snakes, when they're babies, they're roughly about 6, 7, 8 inches long when they first hatch. And the minimum size enclosure, I think, for a baby corn snake is a 10-gallon tank at minimum, you guys. Because obviously, since corn snakes are not that cohabitable together, it's really important though to keep track of your corn snakes food records, because as babies, these guys are known to be kind of have an appetite. So, and as you can see, this girl here, wherever you're going. Where are you going? Where are you? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going, girl? Where are you? I can't find your head. I cannot find your head. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. There she is. So, as babies, these guys are going to have a good appetite on frozen thawed rodents, because these guys have a rodent-based diet in the reptile community, you guys. And corn snakes, some of you guys may not know this, but corn snakes are a type of rat snake. But the reason they call them corn snakes is because sometimes you can find them literally in cornfields, you know, in a corn maze. So, but nonetheless though, corn snakes are super duper placid. But as corn snakes get larger, you guys, you're definitely gonna have to immediately upgrade their enclosure size. Right now, Ariel is in a 20-gallon tank, which I've had her in there for like a few years now. But I know at some point I'm gonna have to upgrade it because she's still growing, you guys. She's literally still growing right now. And I'm probably gonna get her to a 40-gallon. And now the minimum size adult enclosure for an adult corn snake, you guys, minimum I would not go smaller than 20 gallons, because obviously a snake is going to outgrow its enclosure, whether if you guys believe it or not. It is true. Snakes will outgrow their enclosures. So this girl, she is starting to outgrow her enclosure, but right now it's not the right time to get a bigger tank, because in my bedroom here, there's not enough room for a bigger tank. So, but when I do get a place of my own, hopefully within the next year, I could get a much bigger enclosure for her. So, but nonetheless though, corn snakes, absolutely amazing animals. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this girl back before she starts to explore a little too much. Let's go ahead and take it step up a notch here now. Let's go ahead and discuss about Colombian rainbow boas. Yeah, just rainbow boas. Rainbow boas obviously are a very attractive looking type of boa to have, you guys. And you guys may remember a couple years ago, I actually used to have a Brazilian rainbow boa for, I think, like 7 or 8 months. But unfortunately, I don't know what was wrong with her exactly. You guys remember her, Roxy was her name, by the way. I don't know exactly what was up with her, but when I actually got her, I mean, literally, this was within the last couple months after I got her, she just started to not accept food. And now, you guys gotta remember, I gotta remember this. Brazilian rainbow boas, they do require very high humidity, everybody. Very high humidity, at least a minimum no lower than 90% humidity, because these guys, they are found in the tropical rainforests of the Amazon in northern Brazil, and you guys know that area is going to be extremely humid and muggy. So it was a little hard, you know, to keep the humidity high in her enclosure, because this went on throughout the winter time. And you guys know here in Michigan, winter months here are extremely dry, and it is uncomfortable. So now, when it comes to rainbow boas, as baby ones, you want to keep them in a minimum of 10-gallon enclosure also, because these babies start out 8-10 inches long when they're born, if I'm correct, by the way. And over time though, since these guys are rodent eaters, they will have a quick growth rate on them. So, and this girl, Roxy, well, I can't talk about Roxy. And eventually, within maybe, give it about a couple of years, maybe less than that actually, you're gonna definitely want to upgrade your rainbow boa into a 20-gallon tank like Lucy or Ariel has. Because rainbow boas, you guys, they don't stay small. They don't get like 2-3 foot long. These guys can get about ranging from 5 to about 6 feet long if full-grown adult Brazilian. But if you have a Colombian, which is actually a lot easier to take care of, which they don't require as high humidity, and they stay slightly smaller. Those guys, minimum, once you get towards to an adult, minimum, if you're talking about Brazilians, you're probably gonna have to go with a 60-gallon tank, you guys, for sure. And it's always good to actually provide some arboreal stuff, whether it's like vines, you know, or neat looking plants, or even tree branches, because sometimes rainbow boas will climb up off the ground, you know, actually just search for other prey items in trees, you know, like little birds or other lizards maybe. So very important on that one. So, but nonetheless though, they are absolutely amazing. And Colombian rainbow boas, the nice thing about them, they're not that expensive. Brazilians though, they're kind of getting into the higher price range. So, but absolutely regardless though, they're still a neat animal to have, you guys, as long as you actually got the right care tools to take good care of them. And finally, let's go ahead and get into the big snakes, you guys. Now, jumping off to the bat, Burmese pythons, Everybody has heard about them many times in the media before, whether if they are an invasive species in South Florida, or whether some people have accidentally lost a pet one in the wilderness. And of course, there's different kinds of mutations of Burmese pythons in the reptile hobby. So, a baby Burmese python right off the bat, you guys, for a minimum size enclosure for a baby Burmese python is right off the bat is a 20-gallon tank, because these snakes, they get pretty big, you guys. They seriously do. I have seen adult Burmese pythons before, and I think the largest one I've ever seen was probably like 14, 15 foot, but even though there have been records of them much larger than that, with some ranging about 18 feet long, and some can weigh almost 300 pounds. So these are big snakes, you guys, and they are going to need some big meals in them as they get older. And a baby Burmese python is not going to last quite long, even in a 20-gallon tank, you guys. You might want to go upgrade to a minimum of a 60-gallon, because Burmese pythons, believe it or not, do have a very quick growth rate, you guys. A hatchling that's only a few weeks old, if fed properly, it can be already from 2 to about 6 feet long within the first year of its life, you guys. So think about that. That's a pretty quick growth rate right there we're talking about. So always think ahead before you actually think about getting a big snake, you guys. It's always important that you do your research a lot, you guys. Just don't do it in one day. Do this for several weeks at a time, you guys, and make sure that you do have the proper space for the enclosure, and also you have a good food supply nearby as well, because Burmese pythons, you guys, when they're already above 6 foot long, they're not going to eat little frozen thawed pinky mice. These guys are going to want to start eating rats, you know, as they get bigger. And once they reach above 12 foot long, they're going to want to probably start eating some small frozen thawed rabbits. So it's, like I said, it is important to have a food supply nearby, you guys, because as far as I know, there's no one that's breeding rabbits around here. So if I did own a 12-foot Burmese python, it's going to be really hard to find somebody that's going to be giving me frozen thawed rabbits. So, but yes, Burmese pythons at a full-grown adult one that's about 12 foot long is probably going to need an enclosure that is beyond a 60-gallon, you guys. We're talking about probably like at least 120-gallon minimum. So, but there are other options you guys can do out there. There are some enclosures that I have seen that have been made, you guys, by like if you guys are familiar with custom cages, you guys, I'll go ahead and put their website down in the link in the description. You guys can go ahead and check them out. They got a variety of enclosures on their site, so very awesome to check out. So, but nonetheless, though, Burmese pythons, despite having a bad reputation, they are a neat animal, but also they could be a lot to take care of too. All right, Manham Squad, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. You know, I had to save the biggest piece for last. Reticulated pythons. Obviously, you guys knew. You got the hint, right? Save the biggest piece for last. Nobody got it, right? Nobody got it. I'm sorry. Okay, changing subject. Reticulated pythons are obviously the longest snake on the planet, you guys. And these snakes obviously have been on the planet. And these guys literally originating from Southeast Asia. These guys are actually been officially documented as one of the only very few snakes in the world that actually can eat a human being. That's right. This is true, but this doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often. So, pushing that aside, reticulated pythons in the reptile community are very, very popular. There's like dozens of different morphs that have been produced for the last 20 plus years, and really, there's a lot of different colors and mutations of them out there. There's from like super dwarfs to cow retics to golden childs, to platinums, you know, super tigers and ghost phases, all sorts of them. And with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and discuss. I'm gonna discuss on what size minimum enclosure is for a baby retic. So the minimum size is probably nothing smaller than 40-gallon tank. I'm gonna say that out loud, you guys. Nothing smaller than a 40-gallon for a baby retic, because these retics, you guys, when they're first born, they're actually pretty big. They're seriously pretty big. Some of them like 2.5 feet long, and yeah, pretty big. And yeah, if you've never seen the size of a reticulated python egg, it is massive. It is literally massive. It's literally about the size of a softball. So it's not, I'm not even making this up. It's crazy. And kind of like Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons do have a relatively fast growth rate, but it's not like, yeah, it's about, I guess, the same as a Burmese python. They can get about 6 feet long within their first year, but once they reach a couple years into maturity, their growth rate does start to decline a little bit. So, but obviously retics that can actually reach 20 to 25 feet long and also could weigh, some of them up to about 300 pounds. These guys need massive, and I mean massive, enclosures. And if you own a reticulated python that's between 15 and 20 foot long, the best size enclosure is probably like an 8 foot by 8 foot by 6 foot maybe, minimum, a minimum one right there. So even though I don't own any reticulated pythons, I don't plan on getting one because that's going to be so much snake poop to clean, and probably too as well, you gotta help maintain the humidity level, and you gotta actually again have a good food supply nearby for these animals, because these retics, just like Burmese, they are not going to eat small rats for the rest of their life. That's not going to happen. Once it reaches like at least 12, 13 feet long, it's got to switch over to rabbits. And there's really not much of any other option. So with that being said, retics, you guys, absolutely awesome animals, great education animals. But also, one thing that I do love about retics is how smart they are. There is no denying it. Retics are probably one of the smartest snakes on Earth. Because really they're not like other snakes when they're in food mode. They literally think before they strike on what kind of animal they are up against, you know. Because when it comes to Burmese pythons or African rock pythons, they instantly just strike repeatedly, and it's just kind of they're kind of wacky. So, but retics though, nonetheless, if you do have the proper education and the right enclosure space and a good food supply for your animal nearby, then I figure, what the heck, go for it. Okay, so before I end this video, you guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Do you guys think I did a good job at explaining this topic for the vlog? Because I do not own any of these big snakes like Burmese pythons, green anacondas, or reticulated pythons, but I try to give out as much factual information as much as I can, you guys, because these snakes, you guys, they're not going to stay small. They are going to get big, and they are going to need a bigger enclosure. So, but if you guys prefer smaller snakes like corn snakes or garter snakes or king snakes, that's perfect for you. So, and I'm not encouraging anybody to go ahead and just go buy a reticulated python out there already, you guys, because like I just said early in the video, it's very, very important to do your research on the animal that you're thinking about buying. Because when I wanted to get my first pet snake, I had to do my research too. I also had to literally look for what the best enclosure size is, what substrate, what the humidity, and what the temperature range had to be. So it's very important to do all your research on that before you just go ahead and buy a specific kind of snake, or even any reptile for that matter, you guys. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video here. So let me know again how you think I guys did down in the comments, and I'll see y'all in the next one.